Welcome everyone in this new video tutorial about the multiplayer combat editor. This video is a special one because we are going to learn how to merge the action RPG inventory system by Vanguard Interactive with MCE. So we are basically going to learn how to give items, the items of this plugin, bonus stats, so that when our character equips item, it is going to get buffed by the item. And by buffed, I mean it's going to modify its stats, so it's going to modify MC values. So this is going to merge the two plugins all together. And we are also going to get rid of some of the logic in the Action RPG plugin, just because it's a duplicate of MC features. And you're most likely going to use MC built-in features to handle things such as else. So I prepared a bunch of tasks to follow, and the first one is to create a backup of your project, because we might be breaking your items and everything you've done. So every items you've made, I meant. So make a backup of your project, copy and paste it. And then I just created a new project using the launcher, and I imported MC inside. I didn't import MC content example. So we're going to consider that you have a player character, which is either a child of inventory player character or the inventory player character itself, which is the character you need to use if you want to use ARPGIS. So, and we are also going to assume that you have a child of inventory player controller or using the inventory player controller itself. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. We are actually going to hit play, and we have an error in the combat manager, and that's just because I didn't enable the Apex destruction plugin. So I'm just going to restart the project real quick. And the first thing we're going to do is to open up our character and add a bunch of stats to him in order to increase them through our items. And maybe you've already done through that step because you've already implemented MC in your project. And in that case, don't worry, it's going to be quite fast. So I'm just opening up all the assets we need to merge the two plugins all together. So I'm just going to add a stat manager to our player, and I'm going to add a bunch of stats when we are initializing our player, like this. And I'm going to add stats. We want else regeneration. Where is it? Already, like this. We also need mana and mana regeneration. And we're going to do attack speed just so we can display another value. So like this. We don't even need to do that, I think. So our character has a bunch of stats. We are actually going to feed the values, at least. Like that. Yep. And then on begin play, actually not, when the stat manager is going to be ready, we're going to ask, are we locally controlled? If so, we're going to add a stat overlay. I cannot do that because I don't have the example content, and we will need to create a stat overlay, and we are not doing this in this video, so we're just going to assume that this is working. You can only trust me on that. And we are also going to make sure the text frame displays the proper information, for instance. That's on the menu as well. So we've added a bunch of stats, and we're going to create a structure for our items, a structure which is going to contain all the bonuses of our items. So let's go into inventory system, blueprints, inventory. Let's create a new blueprint class, which is a structure. We're going to call that item bonus list. Open that up. And it's not going to be a list, actually, it's just going to be an item bonus. And we're going to need a stat. And we're going to need a modifier list. That's quite strange. Not a modifier list, we just need a stat modifier actually, and it's going to be called target stats and bonus amount and bonus. We're going to hit save, and back into the inventory item structure, we're going to create a new variable, which is going to be an array of item bonus, like this. So we've successfully added bonuses to our items. We can now specify some bonuses to we can give our items some bonuses. So if you go to the item list, for instance, one of the most common item you can find, I think, is one of the most common sword. Yep, like this. For instance, the dagger. We're going to I just hit Control Shift S to save everything. So you can add a bunch of items to your dagger. For instance, you can say the dagger is buffing the attack speed and maybe the health of the carrier. For instance, 20 health, and it's going to be a bonus. And it's going to be a flat amount, whereas it's going to be an increase of 20% attack speed. And there is not going to be it's only going to be physical attack speed. Like this. So we've successfully added bonuses to our dagger. You can do the same for the other item on the list, and you can specify any stats you want. So we've done that, and now we can go to our inventory manager component in order to update that function. Update equipped stats. So this is a function called when you switch items, and in that function you have, so I hit compile because we modified the inventory item structure and it's used everywhere, so it might take a while to compile. And this function is basically setting the stats of the character in there, and this is the list of stats which is displayed when I hit play. It's going to compile the rest of the blueprints which I did not compile, which are using inventory items, so it's taking a while too. So these stats are the stats you can see when you play in your inventory, and in this function we're going to update these stats in a different way. Instead of holding these informations in the inventory component, instead of keeping track of how much strength and dexterity I have here, which is which is a feature of the stat manager, which we just added to our character. So if you want to have dexterity, intelligence, you're not going to manage them using this, you're going to add them to your player character. And in that case, we need to create a simple logic there that keep track of how much bonus we have, how much bonuses we have, and apply them to the stat manager of our character. And we're also going to get rid of these variables since they are replicated, which is costing some network traffic, and we don't want that because it's a duplicate of the features we have in the stat manager. So how do we do that? We are actually going to create a system to broadcast an array of stat modifiers. So it's going to be quite easy, if I might say. We are looping through all items and we have all their bonuses there. So we can loop through the list of bonuses of our items. So we are going to get rid of the sequence there. Getting rid of this. We can loop through all the bonuses of our items to start. And we can break the bonus. And we are going to store all bonuses given to this is only triggering on server, so we are going to create a simple logic to broadcast everything on the network for every client, so every client know what stat modifier we have. So we're going to create a new variable which is going to be a list of bonuses, a list of bonuses. So we are actually going to store a list of bonuses like this. So we are going to delete the variable we just created. We are going to promote that to a variable. Getting rid of this, it created a variable of the right type. We're going to call that modifier list. And this is going to be rep notify. So this is going to, it added a function. That function is going to be called whenever this is modified by the server. We're going to loop through that modifier list. And we're going to add a modifier to whom? To the player character. So how do we get the player character there? I think I remember how we can, because our inventory manager component is actually located on our player controller. So if we type in get owner in there, this is going to return the player controller. Oh, so we cannot create this. But that's okay. We're going to get rid of the modifier list there. Yes, yes, delete this, and it's not used anywhere else. So we're going to get rid of that function as well. We're going to go to our player character, create a new variable. So this is your player character, not ARPGIS player character. In case you have your own, create this on your own. So this is going to be item modifier list, like this. This is going to be an array of item modifier, of item bonus, like this. It's going to contain every information we need to modify it might be a bit costly. A bit expensive to broadcast this. Maybe we want to make that rep notified, but only initial. So that only when you connect once you get the information, and after that we can multicast the new information, maybe? I'm wondering. Because broadcasting this is like creating a duplicate of stat. We don't need this. Well, we actually need this because we need to know the list of items someone has, and it's looking like this. We need to keep track of the item of the player, so I think we cannot get around it. So we're going to mitigate the cost. Using this initial only rep notify like that. Nice. So what do we do now? We need to store that list of bonuses. So we're going to create a new variable which is going to be a map of stats, and we're going to need a value like this. We're going to promote that to a local variable and get rid of the variable I just created. This is going to be temporary flat bonuses. We're going to duplicate that, temporary ratio bonuses like this. Then we're going to find in there, is the stats here, is the stat already there. We need to break the bonus. We need to select in which map we want to find. Can we select a map? Can't we? We can't select maps. So that's unfortunate. So maybe we are going to do this another way around. We actually want to store every type of bonuses and to pack them all together. So for instance, if we have two else flat bonus and one else ratio bonus, we want to store them in two different entries of our item modifier list. So how do we do that? Do we even need to do that if we... Yeah, we do. We do. We do want that. So I'm sorry, I didn't realize inventory manager component was on the player controller. What makes me what makes us unable to rep notify variables there, because other players than the one switching the item and the server, the other player wouldn't know about it. So we need to create that little logic in our player character, and it's a bit different than what I expected. So we're going to need to switch on that value modifier, and if it's a flat bonus, we're going to find in that map of bonuses. If we find it, we're going to increment the value of, if we, I'm going to start off with, if we did not find it, we're going to add that bonus. We're going to add that bonus, and if we did find it, we're actually going to simplify this. We cannot, it's going to throw errors at us like this. So if we don't find the bonus in our list, we're going to store the bonus. If we do find it, we're going to get the bonus we already stored and increment it by the value of the new bonus, which is there. So we are adding the first bonus we have, and then we are incrementing the bonus. And we are not storing the modifier conditions, so actually it's going to be quite much more simpler. We need to store it all, so we're just going to get rid of everything. Hide unconnected pins, show bonuses. We only want to loop through. So for each, how do we do this? We're going to loop through that list. We're going to create a local variable, not a variable, a local one, which is temp all bonuses. In any case, we need like we can do that. I was thinking about how we will display everything, but that's just stat overlay logic, so we don't care about that. So for each item, we are getting all their bonuses and we are storing all of them. We can get rid of this. So we can get rid of that. And is it still used? It's not used here, but it's used elsewhere. These variables, we are not removing them right away. When we are done, we can grab all the bonuses and we can grab our player. So get owner, get cast to player controller, get pawn, get control pawn, cast to our cast to your type of player character. You want to get your class of player character here. You want to promote that to variable, which is going to be character ref. Now you want to grab this variable, check if it's valid. If it's not valid, you want to do that. And if it's valid, you just want to grab him. And we're going to create a new function in our player character, which is going to be update stat list. It's not going to be called that way. Receive new stat list. It's going to have an item modifier list as parameter, and our inventory manager component is going to call this. And we want to plug that in here. So when we are done, we get our player character ref. We cast to our player controller. We get the pawn, we get the player character, we get the the reference, and then we only use the reference afterwards, and we broadcast. We're not broadcasting the new list of bonuses just yet. We're just giving only the server knows about it for now. So we are going to build the logic in our player character now to create the list of modifiers. So what do we do when we receive this? If we update the list of modifier like this, it's not going to work for everyone already in the game. So we need to create a new multicasted event. Multicast update stat list. Multicast receive stat list actually. So when we receive that information, we are actually going to call our multicast, which is going to use that list, which is going to use a parameter of stat modifier like this. So when the server when a player modifies its items, it's going to call that function, which is going to modify that variable, which is going to be used only for players which are reconnecting or connecting for the first time to the game, because it's expensive to broadcast in a replicated variable. So we are mitigating that cost using this. And then it's multicasting the receive stat list, which is nuts. It's going to be multicast and reliable. And this is for all the players already in the game. So this is going to set the item modifier list, just so all players in the game keep track locally of that variable. And then we need to build up the modifiers. So let's create a new function. Create item stats modifiers like this. And we want to call that when we multicast the receive stat list event. Create item stats modifiers. And we also want to do that when someone receives unwrap item modifier list like this. If we are hitting play, I think we won't have any errors, but it's going to return 0 in every values there. But when we equip something, but equipping is still going to work. I want a weapon to equip. It doesn't want to give me a weapon. Okay, I do have one. So when we do that, it's supposed to trigger this function, if I'm not mistaken. So we're just going to do that real quick. So for instance, yep, it's triggering our function. But it's not doing much for now, so we're just going to grab our list of modifier just so we can properly see if it's working. We're going to loop through our list of modifier and we're going to break that list. Break item bonus. We're going to build up a little thing, the value and the stats, like this. So I want a bone dagger. The bone dagger is increasing my health by 20 and my attack speed by 2, but I'm not sure why it's... Yeah, I know why it's printing several times, because we are never clearing that list, I think. No, because it's calling this for each. Yep, we want to not call. We don't want to be calling this when we are done with one item. We want to be calling this when we're done with all items. If we hit play, we have a bone dagger, and it's triggering 3 times. It's actually quite strange. I think it is just because this is called several times. Yeah. That's just because we are calling equip items several times. So it's actually quite, it can be actually quite expensive if we spam this. If we spam this several times. So maybe we want to improve to use that instead all the time. So we're going to remove that and this. So when the server modifies the list of items, it's modifying this, which is triggering this, which is creating the stat modifiers for our clients and for everyone. So for instance, if I'm client, this doesn't have any bonuses, but the bone dagger is going to have a bonus. So as you could see, the clients and the server both are both triggering this. So we can build our little logic there like that, getting rid of this. We're breaking this. We want a new variable, which is going to be modifier alive item modifiers, item stats modifiers, and it's going to be a list of modifiers, of alive modifiers, BP modifiers, like this. And the first thing we're going to do here is to loop through that list and we're going to remove the modifiers we previously had. Whoops, sorry. And we're going to collapse this to a function, and it's going to be destroy current item modifiers. And in order to avoid errors, we're going to check if there is actually a modifier in the list. If there is one, we're going to remove it like this. And then this is actually going to be a map. So we're going to switch the variable and it's going to be a map of float. Can we use structure there? Yep, we can. In here, yep, we can make this just an array. So we need to go back there, refresh all nodes. It's going to get rid of the errors. And in there, we want to add a modifier to what? To me, to myself, like this. This is going to be a simple modifier. And this is going to modify stats. Like this and like that. So for each bonus, we're going to create a stat modifier. So this is actually working, I think, right off the bat, but we can't know for now because it's not written anywhere. So we need to create some functions to display this. So we need to add to our inventory HUD interface, and we're going to create two new functions, one called UI MCE get player stats and another one called UI MC get player item bonuses. I'm adding MC just because I'm afraid to create duplicate names. So get player stats is actually just going to return get player stat manager is actually just going to return a stat manager. Just so we can do anything we want on our player stat manager. We can grab our reference whenever we want. So I'm afraid it might generate a big error, but it's not supposed to. Maybe we just crashed. And we want to create another function which is going to return what are the current bonuses of our items. What is the list of our bonuses actually? So what's happening there? Maybe it's actually compiling some of the blueprints from MC, but I cannot be sure about it. So it compiled. It actually did not compile. Okay, fine. I'm just going to check what it's saying in the output log. Alright, something he had trouble displaying. And we're going to get player item bonuses, which is going to return an array of modifiers. BP modifier, and it's going to be an array of them. We're going to compile once again, and we're going to implement these functions in our player controller. So let's add towards this player controller. It added the functions there, and that one failed to add its return value. Maybe we can force appear that, refresh all nodes, drag the wire and type in return to add the return node. So what is the list of item bonuses we have? We can just grab our character reference and get the bonus, the modifier list maybe. Get item stat modifiers like this. And then we can go to our get player stat manager, grab our character reference and grab the stat manager. And at that point you might not have the stat manager, so you might want to type in cast2 and bring out the cast2 your type of character class and drag the wire in there. Actually drag the wire in there and find the stat manager out of it. So like this. And if the cast fail, you are not returning any stat manager. Like that. So we have these two functions, which means that function is of no use anymore. Maybe we need inventory size and gold, which we are going to keep, but we are going to get rid of the other damage, armor, strength, dexterity, and intelligence. So if we are getting rid of this, we can check where is that function called. So for instance, in our inventory, we are using gold. Okay, fine, we don't want to change this. Get damage text. So this is not going to be damage anymore. And this is not going to be armor or strength or dexterity or intelligence. We're going to create a simple thing that automatically updates this, I guess. So how can we do that? We have a reference to our controller, but it's just player controller. So we're going to cast this into our type. We are just going to grab the control pawn, get pawn, get control pawn. Let's cast this into our type of character, inventory player character in my case. And what do we want to do here? We actually want to add back to our character and create a new event dispatcher, which is on item bonus updated. And we want to call that dispatcher here. We want to add back to our equipment, and we want to store our player into a variable, which is going to be character ref, like this. Then we want to assign a new event to the dispatcher we just created, which is on item bonus updated. So we're going to update display stat whenever the on item bonus event dispatcher is called. And let's just check if this is working. Yep, it's calling ill, but it's not. It's actually not because we didn't have. Yep, we didn't have any modifiers to display, and it's only triggering locally because this is a widget, and we don't want the other player to trigger anything there. So what else do we want to do here? We actually want to add a bunch of entries there each time. So what is the font used? Roboto, regular? Alright, fine. We're just going to browse through this. We're going to create a new widget. Which is going to be item bonus entry. Open that up, remove the canvas panel, add an horizontal box. Actually, do not add anything, add back there. Yep, add an horizontal box. Specify we want that to be of custom size, of desired size actually. And add 2 text to that. First one is going to be, we're going to give a base value to the text, just so we can properly see what's going on there. The first text is going to be called text stat, and the second one is going to be text value, and we're going to add another one, which is going to be percent in case we need that, text percent. which is going to be a variable as well, all of them. And we are going to put that in a size box, which is going to be we're going to specify that this is all smaller than we want to. And if we head back there, what is the color of the text? It's this. I'm going to store that and use that here like this. Else is going to fill like this. And we're going to check what it looks like if we add it there, item bonus entry in our vertical box. Okay, it's far too big. So the size box is going to be 100. The text is not going to be bold, it's going to be light. And far smaller, like this, for instance. It's still too big. So maybe we are actually going to move this here and there, because and this is actually going to fill. And it looks like this, so we're going to reduce the size box once again. It's actually just cosmetic, we do not care really. So we can get rid of this. If we head back there, what do we want to do here? We want to grab our vertical box. This is going to be vbox stat modifier container. This is going to be a variable. And what do we want to do here? We want to grab that to clear all the children. Then we want to grab our character reference, get modifier, get item stat modifier. We want to loop through that. We want to get stat modifier, not that. We want to get all stat modifier. And I think this is we only need to get the first one in here. And we want to add a child to our box. We want to create a widget, which is going to be our stat modifier entry. And this is not what we want. We want item bonus entry. The owning player is going to be our player controller. And the bonus entry is going to take a new variable as parameter, which is going to be the modifier. And what do we have here? So this is not what we want. We cannot grab what we want like this, so we need to grab in another way, like that. We want to loop through the item modifier list. We want to break. And we actually want an item bonus in here. Item bonus. It's going to be public and exposed on spawn, like this. So it's going to add a new node there. If you refresh it, you want to add that. You want to plug the array elements to the modifier. You want to add a child to your vertical box. What child? This one. And you want to hit play. So I have 20% else increase. And I'm not sure why it's displaying it twice. We're going to update text frame just so we can properly see what's going on with the. Okay, no, I know why it's not. It's working. It's just that we didn't update the text in here. So in there we want to break our modifier in our item bonus entry. Text stats, we want to set text to the stats. Enum to name, enum to text, like this. And text percent, we want to hide this if it's not a percentage. So if the value modifier is equal ratio, we want to select. And we actually want to promote that to a variable called b%, because we're going to use this to multiply the value to display a real percentage and not just a ratio, like this. So if it's a percentage, the text percent is going to be test invisible. If not, it's going to be hidden, like this. And the text value is going to be, we're going to select, we're going to convert that, we're going to truncate that value. And what value are we going to truncate? We're going to select. If we are looking at a percentage, we're going to truncate the value of the bonus multiplied by 100. If not, we're going to return the value and truncate it like this. Compile, hit play. So it does have bonuses, but we are not properly seeing them because I did not use the proper node in here. We need to convert that to a string, enum to string, and then we need to pull that in here like this. So if I hit play once again, the server has no modifiers and the client has two modifiers, one which gives 20% attack speed and the other one which gives 20 else. So we're going to update PlayerFrame. So you might want to open up PlayerFrame, Control P to bring that window, Control P, and then type in the name of the asset you want to open up. In our case, we want PlayerFrame. And in here, what do we want to do? We want to bind this bar to our stat manager. How do we do this? We're just going to grab our control pawn again. Once again, we're actually just, maybe we can just grab our character reference. So in your case, and get the stat manager there. In your case, if you do not have the stat manager, that's because you created a child class of the inventory player character object. So you might need to cast this into your type of character. And once we have the stat manager, we're going to assign to stat notify to stat update, like this. And what do we do when we receive a stat update? We're going to break the stat update. If we are updating else, we are going to change our progress else bar percent by dividing the current value by the max value at first. And then we are going to modify the numbers there. This is going to be a variable. Else text, set text. We're going to build up a little text, which is the current value. slash the maximum value, and we're going to plug this, compile, play. So it's not being updated, and I'm not sure why, because we have an error. Character reference gives an error there because it's not updated. So we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get controlled pawn and cast that into your type of character. Grab the inventory, the stat manager, and hit play. So we can see it's updated now, but we do not have any buffs to display because we are not looting the bone dagger. So if we are looting the bone dagger, it's not increasing our health, not at all. But almost everything else is working, so it might be quite easy to fix. In our inventory player controller, I mean what happens when we actually update equipped stats? We are receiving the stat list, which is modifying this, which is calling that function, which is creating item stat modifier. So is this failing to trigger? I'm wondering. We're going to check. If I'm hitting play, it actually added modifiers because one of the player has bunnies. So it's actually triggering, but we're not seeing the information on the else, whereas we should be receiving the information. So we're going to print, we are actually going to get stat after that, get stat else for instance, and print the current value, just so we know if it's our modifier which is failing. So I have 50 else, so the modifier is not being applied. Why is it not? We are creating a modifier and then we are adding do we need to do something else when we are doing this? I think we don't. I really think we don't. So what's failing to work? We might be wondering. It's generating the modifier and we can clearly see. What if we break the bonus there, and if we print the value, it's going to return the proper value, I'm sure of it, almost. Yep, 20. But we do have only 50 else, whereas we should have 70. If we print that value. So it looks like an MCE bug. What happens if we do this? If we add a stat modifier, which is going to be without any conditions, of 20. What happens if we do this? We still need to find, oh, we do have. So this is just not working. So it doesn't manage to find else on our character, maybe? Whereas we do have else. And we are perfectly sure that we have else because this is returning 50. Oh yeah, of course, my bad. Our player character doesn't have the stat interface. Excuse me. So if we are just doing this, it's going to work. Yep. This boy has 1990 L, so I think he has too much. That's because they're not being removed, the modifiers, as you can see. It's going up and up and up. So we did not properly add our list of modifier, of course. When we create them, so I'm going to get rid of that logic. When we create them, we need to add them to the list of modifiers we have, just so we can properly remove them afterwards. So this boy has 70 Ls, these two boys have 70 Ls, and when you remove it, it's being removed. So we are almost done. We're going to do the consumable another time. This is the logic for items giving stats. So now, excuse me, now you can add any stat you want to your items by just adding stuff in here to bonuses. But we also need to it's not quite polished. It's not polished quite yet, but we're going to polish it a bit more in the next video because this one is quite long already. So see you in the next videos, guys. Hope you liked it. Bye bye.